Let's see your two best bass. This week, joining me on episode 8, catching up with Chris Jones, is a young man out of Arkansas who's won $500,000 with FLW. He has 27 top 10s with FLW in just 108 events fished. That means he makes the top 10 in 1 out of 4 FLW tournaments. A guy who comes from a legendary fishing family and an 8-time Forest Wood Cup qualifier. Joining me this week is Spencer Sheffield. What's up, Spence?
Hey, man, glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Well, what have you been doing, man? COVID-19's got the whole world shut down. We barely got the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit event at Lake Martin in the books, and that was our third stop, so we're about halfway finished with the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. But what have you been up to, man, during the quarantine?
Man, I've been fishing as much as possible. Spending at least, 4 to 5 days, roughly a week on the water. And, I've spent so much time the last 4 years on these lakes around here. I've started going to Texas a lot recently, especially since all this happened. Just trying to stay fresh, new bodies of water, and not just staying here around the house locally. But I'm ready to get back to compete, man. It kind of gets old just going and fun fishing, shooting a video here and there. I'm ready to get back to competing against everybody. So,
absolutely, man. It's in your blood. We're going to talk about. I said, you come from a legendary fishing family. Your dad is Ron Sheffield, man, one of the most accomplished anglers in the history of tournament bass fishing. We're going to talk about that today in the show. But let's talk about the resurgence of Spencer Sheffield. If I look down your FLW resume, man, on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, you started your career as a co-angler in 2011, traveling, I guess, with your dad during those years. You were number 1 in the points race, man. You were the co-angler, FLW Tour co-angler of the year in 2011. In 2010, so we're going to move back, 2010, you were 6th. 2009, you were 2nd. 2008, you were 9th. 2007, you were 2nd. So in 5 years, fishing the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit as a co-angler, you never finished outside the top 10. You had 2 seconds and 1 co-angler points title, co-angler of the year points title. Then you switched to the pro side in 2012. 2012, you finished 56th in the points race. 2013, you were 12th. 2014, you were 18th. In 2015, you finished 43rd, man. So you qualified for several Forest Wood Cups as a pro, several as a co-angler, lots of success on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, but we had not seen you since 2015.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your resurgence, the comeback story, it's awesome. You're sitting right now inside the top 10 in the points race. And we're halfway through the season. Where has Spencer Sheffield been?
Man, I'll tell you, I don't know. It's a long story. I could write a book over the last 10 years of my life in fishing, and fishing got me through all of it, obviously. But I was pretty beat up after not qualifying for the Cup that last year as a pro because it was on Ouachita. And Ouachita, I consider my home lake. I live here on Lake Hamilton where it was last year, but I fish them all about the same amount, of days a year. And so I have a lot of knowledge on Ouachita, and missing that Cup really hurt, but that's beside the point. That's not why I quit fishing. I just went through some major personal life crisis, I guess you could say. Some things that happened to me got me down, and I hit rock bottom, and it's the best thing that could ever happen for me. I got in a real scary point in life where I was just hooked up with the wrong people, got to drinking really badly, and it was just one of them deals, man. Just one day got up and was like, yeah, I've got to quit this. Fishing never was not part of the plan to get back, but it was I like I said, I just hit a point there that I knew that the only way I was going to get back to the tour was to start over and quit the things I was doing, get out of that lifestyle and get my relationship back right with God, get to church, And so that's what I did, man. Woke up one morning and decided to throw it all away. I was done doing it, and I was going to make my way back each and every day. And I hustled. I started. I jumped. I was already fishing a lot of local tournaments around here, just small stuff. But I had a couple people that were pretty close to me that had boats, and we fished some little team tournaments together. And I told them, I was getting back to the tour. They agreed 100% with me. Hey, man, that's where you need to be. You don't need to be stuck around here, and just go and do it. And so they loaned me the privilege to use their boat when I needed to for every tournament. And so that was a huge help because obviously I had no money at all, and even helped me out with some entry fees. And it was just one of them deals, man, having that kind of support. And I got back to fishing major stuff around here, and I had never really fished the major events around here before for a year. Before traveling around fishing the tour as a co-angler, and then when I started as a pro, I might be here for 1 or 2 a year to jackpot, but I never actually started from the start and went through to the finish. And so it was like my little local tour, basically. Start here to get back to the main event, and so that's what I did. And I had a goal to win as many of them as I can. Obviously you want to win every tournament. That's not possible, but I wanted to at least be able to win Angler of the Year in all of them. And obviously in local trails, your championships are what pay the money. Your championships are going to give away a boat or a big cash prize. Just winning a regular season event at home is usually going to be anywhere from the 4,000 to 10,000 mark, which is a good chunk of money, but not enough to really throw down on getting another boat, getting back out on tour and stuff like that. So when I was able to fish the entire season to qualify for the championships, I managed to win Angler of the Year, which was a huge confidence booster. And then I was able to dedicate all my time into the championships. And Mr. Bass of Arkansas was the biggest trail around here at the time, still is, as far as a single man, a pro-am tournament trail. And I was able to win the championship that year on Dardanelle, and it was worth $40,000. And with that as well, winning the Angler of the Year that year, this was in 2017. With winning Angler of the Year also came along a memo boat for a year through a dealership that they had a deal with. So I had a free use of a boat for a year that following year. And, that was great, but I wanted to get back in FLW right then, obviously, because that's where I wanted to be. That was my goal. And for it to happen, that year like it did here locally, the Cup was coming to Hamilton, and I wanted to jump in. I tried to get in, wasn't able to get in that last year. And so that was kind of a shot to the gut. And I was like, well, I've got to do it again. So started back again last year, did the same thing, man, won Angler of the Year again in the trail, won the championship again, and was able to get in this year. So, yeah, it was very it was just a huge blessing. And, man, to look back over doing that 2 years in a row from where I came from to be back to where I'm at today, it just kind of gets me goosebumps. Really, it really does.
Man, that is a great redemption story, man. And hey, putting it out there, man, real life stuff. Real life stuff, man. And stuff like that, it doesn't discriminate, based on anything. You went through some real life stuff, and man, you've made some really, really good decisions to get yourself back into the pro circuit. And I'm very proud of you, man. I've always loved Spencer Sheffield, a big fan. I've always loved your dad. Again, that legendary fishing family, it's in your blood. It's what you were meant to do. And you're off to a really good start. First year back since 2015, and you're sitting right now in the top 10 of the points race, and we're halfway through this thing, man. So, last year, 2019, the Phoenix Bass Fishing League Archie Division, you finished second in the points race there, man. So if we look back at your career, like you said, you started as a co-angler on the FLW Tour, now the pro circuit, we call it. But, man, great success. I mean, to finish every year for, 5 years in a row in the top 10, really in the top 5 with the exception of 1 or 2 years there, in the points race. You got a win. I think it was at Fort Loudon in 2010 as a co-angler. I remember that win. Lots of success. How important was that co-angler time? Because I know you've learned from one of the best in the game, your dad, Rod, but how important was that, learning all the different techniques, different strategies? How did that play into your future, into your versatility today as an angler?
Well, it did a lot, but I grew up fishing my dad since before I could remember. I can remember being on the water with him as early as 3 years old, probably before that, because it was one of them deals where Dad would, when he was home not traveling fishing, if he was going to go fishing, he had to take me or he wasn't going to get to go. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I had to pick it up pretty quick, and it's just something I fell in love with. Me and him, the way he fishes and the way I fish are completely different. But I got my first boat when I was 17 years old, and that's when I really started going a lot on my own. And I took a bunch of extra classes in high school so I could graduate early to join him on the tour as a co-angler. And so when we got out on Christmas break in 2006, I was done. I didn't have to go back, and we started at Okeechobee in 2007 that year. And just getting to see, I'd always been around professional anglers my entire life, not just my dad, but just everywhere he went, if I got to go, I can remember back when I was we would be out on summer break going and practicing for tournaments, during the summer with him and things like that, being around Kevin Van Dams and the Denny Bryars, all them guys growing up. It was nothing really, it wasn't, I wouldn't say, you as a kid, they're just fishermen. That's what your dad was. I didn't think anything special about it, just because I grew up seeing them all the time. So then to be a co-angler and get to fish with some of the other guys that you had known over the years were fishing a tour as well, and some of these awesome West Coast anglers. I got to fish with Gabe Bolivar, Justin Kerr, some of them guys when I was a co-angler, learning a lot of light tackle techniques. And that's always just been something I've really been partial to, is light line and spinning tackle. It's just, I don't know, it's just something I'm in love with. I would rather catch a 30-pound bag on a spinning rod and 8-pound line as I would a casting rod and 65-pound braid. It's just, I love catching them on spinning tackle. And but learning so many different techniques, growing up with a father that did it for a living, you think that that's all there is. And then you get to fish with so many different guys. You're like, man, there's so much more to this game than just throwing a jig and a spinner bait and stuff like that. Like I was raised fishing, there's so much more to it. And so yeah, it was huge. I mean, I started learning a lot of different stuff out in the back of the boat and wanted to know more. And I would get to come home. I had a little boat, and I'd go out on the lake, and I'd put it to test on our waters and started winning a lot of tournaments, beating him a lot around home because he was doing the same things he'd done for 30 years, and I'm coming back learning all this new stuff, So yeah, it was great.
Man, that is awesome, man. That's good stuff right there. Hey, so 2 years in particular that you did really well on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. 2013, you finished 12th in the points race. 2014, you finished 18th. But and you made several top 20s back then and top 10s. I remember the one on Pickwick that you made. I think Greg Hackney ended up winning that particular event. But I remember, you're out there fishing deep, structure, ledges. You guys, I think that was a ledge fest, that particular tournament. But the point I'm getting at, you have a love for electronics and ledge fishing. You like fishing out deep. One of the most memorable tournaments that you've ever had has to be the FLW Open up on the Detroit River. The one that Larry Nixon won, I think it was 2011 maybe. He won that. You guys were up on St. Clair, and I think you guys were all fishing in that same area. I think he won the event. Shiniki Fukai was out there. Shin was out there. Bill McDonald was out there. You were out there. Bell River Hump, I believe, if I'm right on that. You were out there catching them. And I thought to myself, of course, you're still young. Back then, a few years ago, you were even younger. And I thought, how does this young guy out of Arkansas come up here and catch them with the best in the game? Larry Nixon ended up winning that and do what you did on those big bodies of water, man. And I knew you'd mentioned electronics and your love for structure fishing, but I want you to elaborate on that, man. You got a passion for that. Talk about that. What makes you so good at using electronics and out there video game fishing and catching them deep?
Well, I guess a lot of it is just learning it on places that you already know. And by saying it, what I mean is like lakes around here, Lake Hamilton, Lake Washita, Lake DeGray. As I got older and got boats of my own that had these fancy electronics on it, I would go to places that I knew what was already down there and see it. And so I would know that, hey, I already know there's this size rock here by the way it feels when I fish it, or I know that the brush pile's this certain height is what it feels like. And then idling over that stuff and actually seeing it on a screen is how it began. I guess I began to learn it better and more each year, and knowing places that had schools of bass on them and idling over them and seeing them and saying, okay, this is what they look like. And, you know, they look a lot different in certain situations. They all look the same on the graph, but they set up differently is what I'm trying to say. You know, they're not always down on the bottom or around a piece of structure. Sometimes they're just out there aimlessly swimming around. But I got to a point where I was confident, and when I seen them, hey, this is bass. Even if they were out over 60 foot of water, only 15 foot deep, I knew that that's what I was looking at. And I don't know. I've just fallen in love with electronics, being able to see it with my eyes. And it's the same way with shallow fishermen. I think kind of going around the banks throwing prop baits and whatever around bluegill beds, you see a wolf pack of fish swimming around, you know what you're looking at. You know you can come back and that group of fish is probably going to still be swimming around in that pocket somewhere. You got troll motor on 100 going down a bank looking for, you know, fish on beds and stuff. It's kind of the same way with electronics. You're just doing it out over a lot deeper water. Once you learn it, you know what you're looking for and what you're seeing when you see it. It's the same. You know what I'm saying? It's you know what you're looking at, and then you just got to figure out how to catch them.
Absolutely. We're going back to the Detroit River here in just a couple months, man. I know you're looking forward to that slugfest, man.
Oh, I cannot wait to get up there. I have not been up there and made a cast on that place since that tournament, so I cannot wait to get up there and fish.
Where did you finish in that tournament, Spencer?
Third or fourth? Third, I believe it was Larry, and then Shin Fukai finished second, and I finished third.
And then Billy Mack, he was right there. And you guys were all within sight of each other, man.
We were, and you know, it's funny because I didn't even have a clue. I seen boats fishing out there all week, but I didn't know any of them were really. I didn't know it was that group of guys until we all made the top 10, and I was like, "Oh wow, we're all right here together." You know, it was kind of unique. I was a little bit. I know Billy McDonald, Shin Fukai, and Larry Nixon were all out there pretty much in a football field size area. I was about a quarter of a mile inside of them. But yeah, we were all. I mean, there was just a megawatt of smallmouth out there in that area. It was very special.
Absolutely. All right, so an 8-time Forrest Wood Cup qualifier, and I believe 6 of those was as a co-angler, 2 as a pro. And talk about that, man. How much fun were the cups? Now we're going to the FLW title, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you have to have a lot of confidence just knowing that you fished a major championship like that a couple times in your career.
Yeah, those cups are special. I mean, I love fishing FLW cups. I never missed it from the time I start but the year my last year on tour was the first year I missed it, so it hurt pretty badly. They're always special tournament championships. You want to win championships, that's the deal. And I was never able to do real well in them. I did good in a couple as a co-angler, but as a pro, I'll take it back. I finished 21st, I think, at the Red River, was in 5th going into the second day and just bombed the second day. You know, I just look back at tournaments like that, like, man, what were you doing? You know, one of those things like, what were you thinking? I mean, you know, you like to think that if this version of me now could have fished that tournament, it would have been a completely different outcome. It may not have been, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting back into a major fishing a major championship like that again. You know, that's going to be exciting, especially since this next one's going to be on a mega smallmouth factory, St. Lawrence River. Never been there, but I know that it's,
Oh
you've seen
man, that's going to be a special event, man. Taking the top 50, and you're inside the top 10, top 50 from the qualifying tournaments. Messina, New York, St. Lawrence River, a major league fishing BPT formatted tournament, so it's catch, weigh, release. You got to look forward to that, man.
I do. It's going to be spinning rod, a lot line and lots of electronics. All this forward view sonar and stuff that they've come out with over the last couple of years. Man, it's changed the game, and I can't wait to get on a place like Detroit and St. Lawrence and put that thing to test on some giant smallmouth. I can only imagine out there in 20, 30 foot of water, just seeing them and pitching a drop shot to them big suckers. I mean, it's going to be fun.
Man, you're making me want to go out right now and go fishing. That's good stuff, man. Good stuff right there. Hey, let's talk about your dad, man. Gosh, he raised the bar many years in the world of professional bass fishing. I remember when he made the move over to FLW, and he and I spent a lot of time on the tournament trail together. What a special, special man. Not only comes through boat check, ready to go fishing every tournament, super positive, but you know what? One of the most likable individuals that I ever met on the tournament trail. And I know I see that in you. Just personality. Quality people, man. I love Ron. I love him. And I know he's got to be your fishing hero, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, growing up with him could not be. I mean, he introduced me to something I have such a passion for, like I do now. I couldn't imagine where I'd be today if it wasn't for fishing. Personally, I don't know anything else, but I wouldn't want to be. I mean, I couldn't imagine life without it. I mean, it's been since I was just a baby. I mean, that was the way of life. I mean, catching a bass. That's what on the table.
It is in your blood, absolutely. Do you ever have a bad? You don't have many bad tournaments. If you ever have a bad tournament, just call him and say, "Man, what am I doing?"
Oh, I talk to every event. I mean, out there at Martin, and I mean, he's my dad, and I love him to death. He, fished for we clash when it comes to fishing a lot too. When I was out there at Martin, he'd call me every day after practice, and well, you figured them out, I'm like, yeah, I'm catching the big spots, good, Well, you got to go figure out how to catch largemouth. I'm like, not me. I've been figured out what I'm going to do. This is what I'm doing, and so stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, he was for sure a fishing hero. I mean, I loved being on the water. My dad couldn't wait for him to get back home from a tournament so we could get on the lake together. When he wasn't around, I fished in branches and mud holes that didn't even have a bass in it, but I was still casting. You know what I'm saying? Right, every now and then I get to go to my grandparents and fish in a pond or something like that. That was a deal. But yeah, I mean, we've spent a lot of time on the water. I couldn't. Gosh, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, we spent more time on the water together than I've ever spent with anybody, obviously, because I grew up fishing with him. But just many and many days on the water, and I miss it as a co-angler, traveling together, fishing, practicing for a lot of tournaments. We had a lot of good days out there.
Absolutely, man. Hardcore, just like your shirt says, brother. I love Ron, man. I miss him. I miss seeing him on the tournament trail, and it's kind of one of those deals, we travel the country together, and we are family, man. And not seeing him, it just I think about him often. And like I said, when I watch you on the water, I see him in you. And I think that's a compliment. That's a real special thing. But make no mistake about it, you are your own man. Like you said, you guys kind of butt heads sometimes about fishing and strategies and stuff. That's because you're your own man. And you know what? He may have taught you everything you need to know. But I think, you know what? He hasn't casted for you in one tournament. You've done it all. All your success, I mean, you've earned that. And I think there's something to be said for that. FLW just announced the super tournaments, man. You fished a lot. You fished against a lot of those guys already, man.
Yeah, I was.
It would be like a reunion for you with a lot of those guys.
I was very pumped to see on that when they announced that they were going to allow the BPT guys to fish with us. I was super pumped about it because of the fact those are a lot of the original guys that I started fishing the tour with.
Yep.
But a lot of guys I grew up just seeing when my dad was fishing professional when I was a kid. I mean, just there's a lot of big names in there, and there was a few I would like to have seen too, but for the most part, most of them are all there, and it just like it's a little extra fire under you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
A lot of those big names are going to be out there on that body of water that entire week with you trying to figure it out together. And man, if there was ever a time I wanted to win an FLW Tour event, it's going to be now, one of these next three, because you will definitely by far be fishing against the biggest, strongest roster that there's ever been, no doubt.
Absolutely, no doubt about it, man. And the money is incredible. Paying over $10,000 to have to field.
Yeah.
That's incredible money, man. So yeah, good stuff. Good times coming. Looking forward to those last three events. And again, we're halfway finished with the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit 2020 season. You're in good shape. Before we close our show out, I do have a couple questions left for you, man. Go-to baits.
Go-to baits.
If you had one bait in the closing minutes of any one given tournament, and you need to catch that kicker, what's your go-to bait?
It'd have to be a drop shot, man. I mean, it's my go-to most anytime anyways. I mean, you know, I love a drop shot. I mean, I don't know. There's not any other way for me to put it. I'm a drop shot fanatic. I eat up with that technique.
That's something that a lot of Arkansas guys, I mean, you guys are kind of known for shallow water fishing. I mean, you guys are, when I think of Arkansas, I think of the rivers, the Ouachita River, Arkansas River. Of course, I know you got Lake Ouachita, Lake Hamilton, but when I think of Arkansas, I think of shallow water anglers.
Yeah, and that's where I have so much success with it too, is throwing it around that shallow stuff, throwing it around shallow pads and cypress trees and little creek mouth cuts and just in muddy water situations. I mean, it just works, and it catches big ones. I mean, it's funny that you say that, because what I learned with a drop shot is it actually works the best where you would think it wouldn't work at all. Like you go to a place like Ouachita or Lake Lanier in Atlanta, Georgia, for instance. I mean, these deep, clear body impoundments where drop shots are big things. I mean, yes, they win tournaments there, but you spin it around and go somewhere like a lake that's shallow and muddy, like a Lake Eufaula in Alabama or something, for instance, a place like that, or somewhere Lake Harris Chain, Lake Okeechobee. I mean, man, you catch giants down there. It's like they've never seen it before, and they just eat it, you know. And that's actually how I come back and caught them so well the second day this year at Harris Chain. The first day I went and flipped through a swim jig and a frog and things like that, and ended up with only 8 pounds, just sitting in like 125th. I'm like, what in the world? I mean, how did I end up here? You know? I mean, I was supposed to catch him doing what I was doing, throwing a 65-pound braid, you know. And I'd had a few big bites in practice throwing a drop shot, but didn't really expand on it much because I was getting good bites fishing shallow with on heavy tackle. And the second day, man, I left all that stuff in the rod box. I pulled up my spinning rod through drop shot all day, caught 16.5 pounds. So it brought me all the way up, or there's no telling. I mean, I'd be way down in the pack right now in the point. So it's been a lifesaver for me on the water for sure.
That's great stuff, Spence. Great stuff, man. I know you're looking forward to getting back on the water, man, after this whole quarantine thing. We got the second half of our season coming up. This is the road to the FLW title. You are part of that major youth movement that's going on in our sport today, man. The young guys are so good. And I think, you know what, you're one of the leaders in that youth movement. I'm very proud of you. I know your dad's proud of you too. But before we close the show, Spence, this is your time, man. Anyone you want to give a shout out to anywhere in the FLW universe, sponsors, whoever it is, your time, Spencer Sheffield.
Yeah, man, I'm going to tell you, when I got my invite to get back on the tour this year, I was beyond ecstatic. But with that came a few days later, I got a call with the opportunity to represent Hardcore this year in Yo-Zuri, that brand. And that was a huge load off because they've really supported me for this year and backed me on all these tournaments. And their product is second to none too. I mean, just the quality is excellent, and they've been a huge part of my success this year for sure. And obviously, Phoenix Rods, man, they stuck with me for my last year on tour all the way through the 4 years of being rock bottom. I never wanted or needed for anything from them. They've been a huge sponsor of mine, rod company wise. Dowel reels, you know, I'm using them. Phoenix boats, Mercury, Power Pole, Garmin Electronics. I'm all Garmin, and my wife, she's been super supportive, helping me get back on the tour over these, you know, and pushing me over the last 4 years, and just all my fans of support, man. And I was on Instagram a couple of days ago and come across a video, and somebody was playing a video, and there was some music that was going along with it, and I'm like, man, that sounds so familiar. I think we used that in a video back 2 or 3 years ago on my fishing page when I was trying to build it up because I was getting back into fishing, and went back and watched some of them videos and just reading all the comments and stuff back then, and now being back to where I'm at now. And it was just awesome, just all the support I've gotten from people over the past couple of years, especially now that I'm back on tour. It's been great.
I love you, man. Spencer Sheffield, he is one of the best young anglers in the game today, having a great year on the 2020 Pro Circuit Warehouse, Tackle Warehouse Circuit. And one of those deals, man, where you get better and better with time, man. And I promise you, like you said, it's one of those things, there's no substitute for time on the water and experience. And you are a young guy, but you've got a lot of experience in this game, man. I look forward to seeing you at stop number 4 coming up pretty soon, Tennessee, Lake Chickamauga. And thanks for joining me on episode 8, Catching Up with Chris Jones.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for having me on, man.
You got it, man. Love Spencer Sheffield. And for all things fishing, log on to FLWFishing.com. It is the world's most popular competitive fishing website. For everybody out there in the FLW universe, I'll be back next week with a new pro. Until then, stay safe. God bless you.